Apple's iPhone, or on your laptop. We have a solution for any device. E-Edition is free for subscribers, or just $7.99 a month. The Bakersfield Californian. We're everywhere and anytime. Subscribe today. Bakersfield.com.
Roadrunner Rundown on Bakersfield.com and the CSUB Roadrunners Digital Network. Live from the Dignity Health Studios in downtown Bakersfield, California.
Hey, welcome once again to Roadrunner Rundown, the official program, CSUB Roadrunner Athletics. Corey Costello back here with you in studio, back from vacation. Thanks so much for joining us. Hope you enjoyed our best of last week, because you know what it was, and this week is our one-year anniversary of Roadrunner Rundown here on Bakersfield.com and GoRunners.com as well. So thanks so much for tuning in for the last year, episode number 52 of the program, and we'll start season number 2 next week. So there you go. But thanks so much for joining us in the last year and making this show very popular and very much fun as well. So we got a great show planned for this 1 year. We're not doing any special anniversary stuff. We just got a good show planned. And what I mean by that is we're going to have three newcomers to our program as we get ready for the upcoming season. We've had some new head coaches this year, and also we're having some new assistant coaches. So we're going to have on the program today 3 new assistant coaches, but all have really good backstories and sort of ties to their sport and even this program. So we're going to be speaking with Lindsey Anderson. She's going to join us in the next segment. She's our new volunteer assistant track and field coach because she was a 2008 Olympian. She was on the Beijing squad in the steeplechase, went to Weber State, coached there a little bit as well, moved to Bakersfield, decided she wanted to keep coaching track. So she decided to look up the Roadrunners and help out. She is a former US Olympian, and it doesn't get much better than that. So we'll chat with her coming up in the next segment of the program. Also on the show coming up, a new assistant women's soccer coach will join us. Clifton Bush, he's a local product, as a matter of fact. Played at Taft College and also played at Tehachapi High School. He's kind of made his way around the country coaching soccer, and now back to Kern County as an assistant with the Roadrunners under head coach Gary Kernine. So we'll speak with Clifton coming up in the third segment of the program, and the final segment of the show today as well. New assistant women's basketball coach Nikki Blue, a name that has definitely has plenty of weight around the Bakersfield and Kern County area. Former West High star, also played at UCLA, and then went on to play in the WNBA for the Washington Mystics and the New York Liberty. She will join us on the program as well, the newest member of head coach Greg McCall's staff with Roadrunner women's basketball. So 3 new assistants, all with some really cool backstories, and we'll talk about that as well. Clifton, by the way, who will be on at the bottom of the hour, he actually stopped coaching soccer for a while to become a police detective. So we got some good stories today on the program as well. So we'll be talking with those guests and much, much more. But first, let's get to some of the news on the program as we get close to the start of the next season. We'll start actually with baseball, where former Roadrunner Michael McCarthy was called up to AAA Pawtucket this past weekend. McCarthy threw 3 2/3 innings of relief, allowing a run on 2 hits, striking out 3 in his AAA debut in the Red Sox organization. McCarthy is the second Roadrunner to reach AAA after Cale Brockmeyer spent a portion of his rookie season last year with the Iowa Cubs. McCarthy was 9-4 this season in AA Portland, Maine, with a 4.64 ERA and 61 strikeouts. So, of course, McCarthy, well known for not only pitching for the Roadrunners and also a columnist in the Bakersfield, California. Just wrote about his experience being called up to Pawtucket as well. So very cool, and congratulations to Mike McCarthy, who, by the way, I just got done talking to him on, I think it was, I was leaving my vacation from Chicago, telling him we're planning to go to Boston next year, and I fully expect him to be at Fenway because I want to see him play, and then the next day he gets called up to AAA. So we're getting close, people, to having our first big leaguer from the Roadrunners program in Major League Baseball. So hopefully that'll be Mike, and maybe that September call-up is right around the corner. We shall see. Let's go to soccer real quick. The LA Galaxy and former Roadrunner Jossie Zardes in action this past weekend. There it is right there. Zardes on NBC, game of the week, hosting the Portland Timbers, down 1-0 early. Zardes gets a couple looks. The first one here taken away by the keeper as Zardes on a good run. They move him around a little bit here lately, so definitely playing much more comfortable position. Second time, this time a cross and off the crossbar for Zardes, but that one almost equalized it. But what do they say? They always like to say that third time is what? Well, it's the charm, as Jossie Zardes going to get a setup here. This cross finds his head, and that head finds the back of the net, and Zardes buries the header. Stoppage time in the first half. He scores his 8th goal, doubling his total from last year. The Galaxy get 2 second-half goals from Robbie Keane. They win 3-1 over Portland. So Jossie Zardes continues his 8th goal in 8 games. That doubles last year's productivity, and they still have, I think it's 10 regular season games to go. So Zardes on a roll right now for the LA Galaxy. To the pool, Mitchell Huxhold will compete at the U.S. Nationals this next week following a tremendous season with the Runners, in which he was the WAC Swimmer of the Year, WAC Male Athlete, and had a spot in the NCAA Finals. Huxhold will compete in 4 events coming up in the Nationals, including the 200, 400, 800, and 1650-meter swims. A strong performance at Nationals could play a major part in the selection process for the 2014-15 Pan Pacific team, as well as the 2015 World Championship and World University Games. Huxhold was on this show 2 weeks ago and talked about his opportunity at Nationals.
Well, I think you have to be top 2 in each event, and you have a chance to get selected for the national team for the pool. So I'm going to be doing the 1500, 800, 400, and 200 freestyle.
Nice.
So my best chance would be in the 1500 or the 400 freestyle to potentially make that team. But there's going to be a lot of big players there. All the top college guys are going to be there.
Yeah.
So all my competition from NCAAs will be
okay.
there again.
So there you go, Mitchell Huxhold at U.S. Nationals coming up later this week, and of course, good luck to him. We'll have updates on that and how things went with this big opportunity. And on a practice note, CSUB women's soccer opens practice this week. The Roadrunners gearing up for the 2014 season. Women will open on August 22nd when CSUB hosts Gonzaga. Men's practice opens up the following week. They'll open August 29th at San Diego State, following an August 19th exhibition at Stanford. More to come, by the way, on a special soccer preview edition of the Roadrunner Rundown. August 19th, we'll be kind of going around the soccer programs, men's and women's, with 2 new head coaches this year, and plenty of new faces on the sidelines and on the field. We'll be talking with those coaches and student athletes coming up in a couple weeks on this program as well. So last week I was on vacation. I took a little break, and for some reason I'm just not like a go to the beach kind of guy. I mean, obviously me in a swimsuit isn't pretty, so I'm not in a beach. I'm not going to a resort. I want to go and see America. I want to see stuff, experience stuff, and taste stuff. So we decided for the second time around, let's go back to Chicago. It's a great city, and on top of that, great baseball and food and all that stuff. But we could really, we could kind of show Roadrunner fans where to go when they follow the Roadrunners to Chicago when they play Chicago State. So this week on Corey Visits, we'll take you into my little journey to Chicago. Chicago, Illinois, my kind of town. It's called Second City because if it weren't for New York, it would probably be America's cultural capital in several different areas. They also happen to have a member of the Western Athletic Conference, Chicago State, meaning Roadrunners fans have several excuses every year to visit this fine city on the southern edge of Lake Michigan. Might I suggest a fall or spring visit? Stay away from the winters. There's a bit of a small difference in temperature. My visits to Chicago start with train rides. It's the best, easiest, and cheapest way to get around. You get a real feel for the city, too. As the Chicago River flows backwards out of Lake Michigan, a modern marvel of engineering in a town known for architecture and ideas of the sort, that just sort of adds to my affection for the city. It was my third visit most recently, the second to take in the sights, catch some baseball, eat great Midwest food, and once again be inspired in the world of sports in a great sports town. Let's start with food. Chicago, of course, is home to deep dish. I mean, I love pizza, and this town has some of the best. May I suggest finding a Giordano's or Gino's on your visit and ordering one up? It's worth the wait. We ate some traditional deep dish on night number 1, and, well, let's just say we overindulged very easily. On to the sports. When you're in charge of marketing our teams and looking for passionate fans, visiting the Chicago sports scene is all the motivation you will need. While Wrigley Field turned 100 this year, it was only fitting I paid my respects once again. There's nothing like the feeling of walking up those steps before this view takes your breath away. Then, of course, in Wrigley Field, there's great food, too. My wife discovered this gem. It's Italian sausage, topped with another Chicago favorite, Italian beef. It's the best of both worlds. Probably the greatest thing ever to come out of a ballpark. Sorry, Dodger dogs, you have your work cut out for you. She got into the action and gave me a little taste, too. On to the game. Hey, the Cubs win. 6 home runs leave the park, as do several fans that have been celebrating all day, and some much, much more than others. All part of the charm and the experience of Wrigley Field. Looking good at 100 years old. The city has plenty more to offer. The architecture is amazing. Chicago River provides an educational view of the city and some breathtaking sights. The Willis Tower hovers over downtown like a lighthouse on nearby Lake Michigan. You can't imagine its presence until you've seen it in person. Mass transit again allows you to get around a bit of everywhere for not a lot of money. It's pretty easy to navigate with a smartphone and once again, much cheaper than a taxi. Chicago again is a great town. They built bars and restaurants near a ballpark where one can spend the morning not only eating, but taking a few hacks like the heroes they will watch in the afternoon. Yes, that's me in the cage, and boy, do I still got it. This is just a small snapshot of what Chicago has to offer, including their sports. You also have the White Sox, the Blackhawks, the Bulls, the Chicago Fire, on and on and on. So when the next CSUB Roadrunner schedule comes out and you're thinking about seeing the runners on the road, think about following them to Chicago. Think of Chicago as a vacation for an education. It's got so much history, some great parts, some rough parts, but plenty of sports, culture, and entertainment. Oh yeah, and food to meet one's needs. Here's some upcoming Roadrunner contests this season in Chicago. Maybe you can follow the team. Volleyball starts there on Thursday, October 2nd. Women's soccer plays there on Friday, October 17th. A little late to catch the Cubs in action, but you will be able to see the Bears at Soldier Field 2 days after the volleyball match. I'd stay out during the winter. It's a little chilly, but just in case, men's basketball plays there on January 24th, while the women's team plays there on February 19th. No baseball or football at this time, but the Bulls and Blackhawks will probably be around for a game or two if you want to experience professional sports in America's second city. Fast forward to the spring, and it's CSUB baseball May 15th to the 17th at Chicago State. Probably a great chance to catch both the Runners in action and maybe the Cubs and White Sox too. So once again, my hat's off to the city of Chicago, their hospitality, and a great destination for Roadrunners fans. There you go. That's what I do, and that's how you see the city of Chicago and much more. And I'm telling you, I would suggest taking a trip either in that October when the women's soccer or volleyball is playing, or wait till the spring when baseball's got a good 3-game series at Chicago State. Gives you plenty of time to check out the city and see the Roadrunners as well. So thanks so much again, City of Chicago. Always a lot of fun, and I'll be back at least a couple times this year. So there you go. And that's our latest edition of Corey Visits. When we come back, we're going to be speaking with one of our latest additions to the coaching staff. Lindsey Anderson is going to join us, new volunteer assistant with track and field. She's a former 2008 US Olympian. She was on the Beijing squad in the steeplechase. We'll talk to her about that and her joining the Roadrunners when we come back next here on Roadrunner Rundown.
Hey everybody, I'm Louis Amestoy, the host of the Baco Motorsports Power Hour here on Bakersfield.com. You can watch us live every Tuesday at 11 o'clock as we talk about things going on at Auto Club Formosa Raceway, at Kern County Raceway Park, and of course the historic Bakersfield Speedway. We'll have results, we'll have interviews with drivers, we'll have updates on Kevin Harvick and Casey Mears on NASCAR. Also talk about NHRA, IndyCar, Formula One. Also be joined by Mike Griffith in studio every day.
Kern Business Journal contains news and information from local business leaders and organizations. Topics include agriculture, health and medical, energy, real estate, and more. Visit kernbusinessjournal.com to find out how to subscribe or where to pick up a free copy. To inquire about advertising in the bi-monthly business journal, call 395-7586. Find us online on Facebook and Twitter, as well as on kernbusinessjournal.com.
Follow the Gades live on Bakersfield.com every Saturday during football season. Every Bakersfield College football game will be broadcast live on Bakersfield.com starting September 6th when the Gades visit Riverside. Follow the action on Bakersfield.com Saturday, September 6th at 6 o'clock. Join the Bakersfield Californian and Bakersfield College exclusively on Bakersfield.com.
The Roadrunner Scholarship Fund creates educational opportunities for over 300 student athletes at CSUB. By becoming a member and donating to the Roadrunner Scholarship Fund, you're not only helping the Roadrunners fund the scholarship needs of our teams, you're investing in the future. The Roadrunner Scholarship Fund isn't just developing student athletes. We're developing tomorrow's leaders from lessons learned during competition. For more information, log on to gorunners.com/donate and become a member of the Roadrunner Scholarship Fund.
Welcome back to Roadrunner Rundown. Thanks so much for joining us. Our 52nd broadcast, 52nd edition of the program, which means that's 1 year. So thanks so much for making that a possibility over the last 12 months. And Season 2 starts technically next week here on Roadrunner Rundown. But, you know, we wanted to bring in some of the new faces. We always have new faces on the program. But it's even better when they've got really, really cool backstories. And that is the case with our next guest, who is a former 2008 Olympian for the U.S. Olympic team and the steeplechase. Competed in the Beijing Olympics, and now she's decided to come and help out and coach the CSUB Roadrunners track and field team. And welcome to the program now, Lindsey Anderson. Lindsey, thanks so much for joining us, and welcome to Bakersfield.
Thank you.
You guys have been here for about, so what kind of brings you to Bakersfield? You said you've been here about a month or so?
Yes, my husband's job. We just decided that it was time for a change, and he was looking for something else that would kind of work for what he wanted to do. Mm-hmm. And he has a couple brothers that live here, and they kind of opened up and kind of figured out an opportunity that would work well with what we want to do.
Perfect.
So that brought us here.
And it gave you an opportunity in the track realm as well. But I know you were an outstanding athlete at Weber State, the first to qualify for the Olympics from Weber State, correct?
Right.
And what was that experience like, not only at Weber, but then obviously the opportunity to compete for the U.S. national team?
Right. The previous year in 2007, I had qualified for my first world championship team. So that was a pretty big deal. Mm-hmm. And then the next year, 2008, was the Olympics. And so that was kind of the big goal. And so when I actually qualified for the Olympic team, it was just unreal. It was a crazy, crazy experience.
Yeah, and you went on to compete in the Beijing Games. And when it was over, I mean, I know you didn't make the finals, but just being a part of that had to be, I mean, just simply amazing.
Oh, yeah, totally. It's something that most kids kind of dream about when they're younger, and then you kind of realize that in reality it might not happen. And so to have that kind of come true again was just incredible.
Did you get to be a part of the opening ceremonies? Were you there for that?
Yes, I did walk through the opening ceremanies, and
now
that was amazing.
I was going to say, that has to be like, I mean, I know the competition part, but to me, like just looking at the opening ceremonies, and I know now they get so weird. I know the Beijing one had all kinds of weird stuff going on, but just the opportunity to walk in under the nation's flag seems like to me is almost better than actually competing.
It was amazing. It was definitely one of my favorite parts of going to the Olympics, that and staying in the Olympic Village where I could get to know all the other athletes and realize that I was at the highest level that you can achieve in sports.
What was, I know Beijing kind of got a bad rap. What was it actually like?
You know, it was great. They did a really good job, and I had a great time. And my family that came, they had a great time going to see everything. And It was overall just a cool experience.
Awesome. Lindsey Anderson, our guest on Roadrunner Rundown. She's an assistant track and field coach with the Roadrunners, a volunteer assistant now. And you were your main event was the steeplechase.
Right.
Why? Why was it the steeplechase? What kind of got you attracted to kind of a weird event in track and field?
Right. The best way to describe it is just a distance hurdling race. So you kind of have a few different obstacles in the race that you have to kind of know how to do with hurdling as well as distance running. First time I tried it was when I was a freshman in college at Weber State, and I fell in love with it right away. I was naturally good at it. I did all the other races too, the 10K, the 5K, the 1500, and I did well at them. I held school records, but the steeplechase is the one that I really excelled and really loved.
And what's with the water? I never understood the steeple. It's the only event in track where there's water out there.
Right. Whoever invented the race just decided that would be a good spectator event, I guess, and threw that into the mix as well. And it really is fun. It's a fun, and it breaks up the race, and I really enjoy it.
But a lot of the time, it seems like somehow your shoes do get wet, right?
Yes.
So how tough is that? Now you got to run with wet track shoes.
Right. We have our spikes. They're specialty spikes for the steeplechase, and so they have lots of holes in it so the water can drain out. And you don't typically wear socks during that race because they get wet. But usually, if you're good at water jumps, it's not too big of a deal because you only get 1 foot wet each jump, and so it's not. I
think people who watch it, though, it's like one of those things like when people watch NASCAR, they're praying for the crash. Like when people watch a steeplechase on TV, they really want to see that person not quite make that jump. There's always those couple people that are struggling at the end. I think people kind of secretly say, really like to see that person in the water.
Right. Yeah. Go YouTube it. You'll see plenty.
Absolutely. Lindsey Anderson, our guest on Roadrunner Rundown. Weber State to Bakersfield, so Ogden, Utah to Bakersfield. So Bakersfield's a thriving metropolis for you, right?
Right. We're excited to be here. We've loved it so far. It's been great.
Awesome. And after you moved here, were you just kind of you were out of track? So were you just kind of I know you had been coaching in Weber.
Right.
So were you just desperate to keep rolling in track? You just wanted to keep helping out.
Right. Well, I am actually pregnant right now. I'm due in January. And so when we first moved here, I wasn't totally sure if I was going to start right away or just wait till after this baby came.
Yeah.
And so we decided, and literally like a week after we'd been here, I contacted the Coach Marcia.
Yeah.
And I just talked to her and emailed her actually, and it's like, I would love to help. I know you've got a full staff, but I would love to contribute if I can. And so after that, we started talking more, and I just couldn't stay away from it.
That's awesome. And now, obviously, distance is something you know well, including trail runs. I know you've done some of that stuff too. So obviously, along with the distance runners, steeplechase, but you also can help out with cross country quite a bit too, because that distance is a big factor.
Right, and I loved cross country in college. It was one of my favorite seasons. So I'm excited to start with cross country and get rolling that way.
How much as a track coach, cross country coach, is it about mental preparation when it comes to coaching the team? Because I know there's certain things that you can probably say technique wise, but it's really, a lot. How does one do it, and is it more mental, I guess, than physical and technique when it comes to coaching?
Well, that's one of the funnest things I've enjoyed about coaching is seeing the other side of it, because as an athlete, I really only see the coaching side as, them coaching me. But on the other side of it, I see all the strategy that I've learned a lot at Weber State and seeing, okay, this is why we do these workouts. This is the reason, the purpose behind what we're doing. And that actually helped me as an athlete too, because I was still training at the time and running, and it's been such an eye-opener to me to see what goes on behind the scenes and how much work and how much energy is actually put into these athletes. And that's one of the things that I loved about helping at Weber State was seeing the payoff of what you're doing. And, there's lots of failures, lots of successes, and to have more successes and failures is an exciting part of coaching.
How hard is it for somebody who has competed at the highest level as an Olympian, and then, I know it's hard for any athlete to stop competing, but how tough is it for you to really now say, gosh, do you still do things to stay competitive? Is it just like this nonstop urge to be out there and doing something?
Nonstop urge, definitely. I'm still running. I'm going to run through my pregnancy like I did with my first pregnancy. Wow. This is number 2. And I'm planning on coming back and racing again after my first pregnancy. My daughter's now 3. Well, she'll be 3 in October. And I actually ran a PR in the 5K after coming back from her. And so I'm really excited to start training again, whether it's road racing or track races. I'm not sure yet, but I'm excited to start training again and do it again if I can.
I saw some of that stuff I mentioned about the trail runs. Is that something that I know it's kind of, is that something you're interested to continue to do as well?
Oh, absolutely. I loved running on the trails up at Weber State. They had lots of trails, a beautiful trail system. And so when I had the opportunity to race some of the trail races, I absolutely loved it. So I want to do it for sure again if I can.
Awesome. Just continue to compete. What was the best, I guess, first of all, what was the best thing about being an Olympian? And what was the weirdest thing about being an Olympian?
I don't know. The best thing was probably just reaching that goal that I had worked so hard for. I'd set for myself, a year and a half before when I actually realized I had a possibility of making the team. And once I hit that and actually made the team and finished second, it was just such a surreal feeling. And it was just amazing. And so that was probably the best feeling, was realizing that I had accomplished that goal. The weird thing was actually being an Olympian. Like, I still look at it, and it's weird to me to think of myself as an Olympian because I just feel normal,
right?
And so when people ask me about it, and I just don't really know what to say, I'm like, I ran, I did my best, and so it's just weird being referred to as an Olympian because that's something that I never thought would happen.
You'd mentioned in 2007 that you qualified for the World Championship, so you had a great shot at making the 08 Olympic squad. How much work was there to do? I mean, was there a lot of time, or were you already kind of in the ballpark for what you thought would be good enough for the Olympic squad, or was there a lot of work and time to be cut off that year?
I was definitely in the mix. I was ranked in the top 3. But I did need to cut off some time. So my PR going in 2007, my PR was still a 9:39 for the 3,000 meter steeplechase. I knew I needed to run around 9:30 to make the team.
Wow.
And so at the actual Olympic trials, I ran exactly 9:30
Wow.
and finished second at the trials. So made it, qualified, and it was just amazing.
Awesome. Well, great story, and glad to have you on board. Welcome to Bakersfield again. Enjoy it, and we look forward to you helping out the student athletes here in the just right around the corner with cross country practice. So we will be keeping track of you guys here real shortly.
All right, thank you.
All right, Lindsey Anderson here on Roadrunner Rundown, and when we come back, another new assistant coach, Clifton Bush, is going to join us. He's matter of fact, a local product who's made his way back to Kern County and now an assistant with the women's soccer program. We will chat with Clifton coming up next as we continue on Roadrunner Rundown.
Buying a home is one of the most important decisions you can make. Scott Tobias Real Estate is here for you. Allow our seasoned and professional associates guide you through every step of the way. Scott Tobias Real Estate is a full-service real estate company providing expert assistance in residential and commercial real estate. The real estate business has changed in many ways over the years, but the desire for excellent customer service is still very much in demand. Our objective is not to be the biggest, but to offer the best real estate services. We're open 7 days a week.
Save 50 to 90% with the Bakersfield Californians Daily Deal featured on Bakersfield.com. A daily deal is offered each weekday on services from local restaurants, dry cleaners, health and beauty services, retail shops, and local activities for the entire family. The daily deal is 100% local. Find these amazing deals only at dailydeal.bakersfield.com.
The Bakersfield Californian is a great read on the iPad, but did you know that the Bakersfield Californian is available on your Kindle Fire? Or how about Google's Nexus 7, the Nook? You bet. You can also read a full replica of the newspaper on your Android-powered smartphone, on Apple's iPhone, or on your laptop. We have a solution for any device. E-Edition is free for subscribers, or just $7.99 a month. The Bakersfield Californian. We're everywhere and anytime. Subscribe today. Bakersfield.com.
Kern Business Journal contains news and information from local business leaders and organizations. Topics include agriculture, health and medical, energy, real estate, and more. Visit kernbusinessjournal.com to find out how to subscribe or where to pick up a free copy. To inquire about advertising in the bi-monthly business journal, call 395-7586. Find us online on Facebook and Twitter, as well as on kernbusinessjournal.com.
The Roadrunner Scholarship Fund creates educational opportunities for over 300 student athletes at CSUB. By becoming a member and donating to the Roadrunner Scholarship Fund, you're not only helping the Roadrunners fund the scholarship needs of our teams, you're investing in the future. The Roadrunner Scholarship Fund isn't just developing student athletes. We're developing tomorrow's leaders from lessons learned during competition. For more information, log on to gorunners.com/donate and become a member of the Roadrunner Scholarship Fund.
Welcome back into Roadrunner Rundown. My thanks to Lindsey Anderson joining us on the last segment of the program. Former Olympian, now member of the Roadrunners track and field coaching staff. Going to be helping out with some of the cross-country runners as well, which they'll get practice going here in the next few days. And one of the other teams that's getting practice going tomorrow, as a matter of fact, is CESUB Women's Soccer, and they have a new assistant coach joining head coach Gary Kearney's staff. His name is Clifton Bush. He's got a great story, too, because he's a local guy who's now back in Bakersfield, coming to us from Dominican University by way of Treasure Valley Community College. A couple high school stops in between as well. Clifton, welcome back to Kern County. And what brings you back to Bakersfield?
Join the Roadrunners and see if we can't help Gary produce a good team.
You know, you were a head coach, like I said, at Treasure Valley and an assistant at Dominican. What was the attraction to be back in Kern County where you grew up and played as well?
Yeah, no, it's really kind of a coming home. My younger sister actually goes to CSU Bakersfield, so getting a chance to spend time with her and my mother and that family atmosphere, as well as getting a chance to coach with Gary and CJ, it's something that is a win-win all around.
You know, looking at your bio and stuff, you really wasted, no time. You've been coaching nonstop for several years. It was high school level as a head coach, junior college, assistant again. Now you're back in the assistant role, but up in divisions at Division I. So is that kind of, as a coach, was that kind of your goal, was to work the different levels and then eventually get to the Division I level?
When I started coaching a high school varsity team in Idaho, no, it was not the goal at all. But 6 months in, I fell in love with coaching and the game all over again, and it was very evident that, this is what I wanted to do, where I wanted to be, and trying to coach at the highest level I possibly could to coach the best players out there. So
awesome. And you're going to be working with Gary Kearney. It's his first year as a Division I head coach. What are your thoughts about Gary and his coaching style, what he brings to this program?
I think the atmosphere that he's trying to create with the program, the culture that he wants to create, is something that is it's top notch. You can't. It's one of the appeals of working with this program is working with a guy who's license-wise, experience-wise, being at UC, all of that is second to none. It's a great opportunity to learn from a guy like that who just really knows the game, who really knows how to coach, how to inspire and motivate players the appropriate way. And so, really looking forward to learning as we go, as well as teaching the players, hopefully, a few things along the way that I've learned.
Awesome. Clifton Bush, our guest on Roadrunner Rundown, new assistant women's soccer coach with CSUB. Now, is it nice to kind of come home after several years coaching around different parts of the country, like you said, Idaho and then Northern California? So, you kind of had a long journey. Is it nice to be back?
Oh, absolutely. I think you learn different styles. You learn from different players, different coaches, and you kind of bring that back to where you grew up. It's all familiar for me, but it's a little bit not familiar. So, definitely looking forward to learning what's happening in the area over the last 15 years that I've been gone, basically. So, that's an exciting thing. Being in Oregon was different than being in Idaho, different than working for Coach Koleski in Northern California. So, we'll definitely bring all that to the table.
As we mentioned, your local product, you played collegiately at Taft. You played in high school at my favorite high school, Tehachapi, and you got hurt, though, missed some eligibility in Taft. So then you kind of had to go into coaching. Was that kind of your next step?
Yeah, well, I after I finished up at Taft, or prior to finishing up at Taft, I tried to ply my trade in Holland for a little bit, and came back very homesick. So returned, played at Taft. Yeah, had some injuries, issues, it's things that happen. After that, I actually started just working. I really didn't get into coaching after injuries. I was full-time, nonstop with playing soccer, so I took a little bit of a break and kind of did some other things for a profession.
You were actually a police. You were a detective, or working on being a detective, or what did you do for that time?
Yeah, no, I went to the police academy and moved to Idaho and became a patrol officer for a while, and then transferred quickly to a detective division. I was in investigations for 3-4 years. Did that for a long time. It was one of the most fun jobs you'll ever have.
So how do you go from carrying a gun to coaching women's soccer? Like, that's got to drive you nuts.
No, it's amazing. I love working with the players. Thankfully, as a detective, what I did was I worked in middle school and high schools.
Oh, okay.
Working with kids, so it was a very easy segue into. That's how I ended up coaching high school. I coached at the school that I was working at as a detective.
Yeah.
And, it's an easy balance. Easy balance.
So now people can understand this story. When Clifton and I go way back. We actually went to high school together. Okay. And so here's a former police detective. All of a sudden, I'm in my office one day, and Clifton walks in. Clifton's a big guy, imposing, police-looking figure. And he just kind of peeks his head in the door and says, "Are you Corey?" And I'm like, I thought someone was coming to take me down, like I was getting served some papers or something. But and then I was like, "Oh yeah, and recognized Clifton right away." But so you now got a chance to get back into soccer. So what's the pace? The pace is a little bit different. I mean, as being on any regular job as opposed to being a coach. I mean, are you kind of enjoying that pace as a coach again?
Oh, absolutely. I think obviously being a police officer, the adrenaline rush can be kind of high. I think second to that, probably coaching. I mean, once we get into the season, starting tomorrow with trainings and 2 games at the weekend, Friday, Sunday, the pace never slows. That adrenaline is amazing. So for somebody who's had those kind of professions, it's a wonderful thing for me to be able to do and put that together with a love of this game and a love of coaching and teaching. Yeah,
I was gonna say, what is this time of year like? I mean, it is right before the start of training camps and your 2-a-days and all that stuff. So as a coach, what is this time like, I guess, preparation wise and just mentally? What are you feeling?
Right now it's take a really quick breath because we probably don't get to exhale very much until November. But we've been working just to prep the entire season as far as training plans, making sure that we have a cohesive message that we're giving to the players so that they have an understanding of what their roles and responsibilities are so that they can be as successful on the field as we possibly can. So it's a lot of preparation that goes into it prior so that they can execute out on the field.
And it's an interesting dynamic this year with new head coach and Gary Curneen.
Absolutely.
A lot of players that he didn't have really any part in signing. Returners that he didn't coach last year. I know CJ Johnson is back, and he has some kind of understanding of the players a little bit. But you're new as well, so it's kind of a blank slate for you when you start practice tomorrow, isn't it?
Absolutely. I think one thing that we'll begin to do is evaluate the players, obviously, and see where they're at and see where we think we could target to make the most gains. I mean, the conference is going to come up quick, and that's the part that we're going to want to focus on. We'll use the preseason to make sure that we know exactly what the players are doing or what they're capable of and institute the plan and the roles that we have for them, and then we'll get right into conference and see what we can do at the end of that.
What is your goal as an assistant coach to help this team essentially build here? And I don't even say rebuild because I know it's been tough for this program to gain traction, the women's soccer side, since they've been Division I. So you guys have an opportunity to sort of get the momentum going for the first time. So is that one of your goals as an assistant coach?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think as an assistant, bringing that excitement, bringing the energy is something that you really strive to do. I mean, the head coach has the vision, and Gary's going to implement that. But, I want to bring the excitement to the players, and hopefully they get on board quickly and we can move forward.
And Gary's he's a very technical coach as far as planning stuff out and things like that. And I know he's big into practices and not wasting time and minutes at practice and always keeping things rolling. Have you got a chance to experience that a little bit, just kind of in planning out your first week or so of practice and how it's going to go?
Yeah, absolutely. observed a few training sessions that Gary had prior over the spring. Observed some stuff that he's done with UC. Our paths kind of have crossed over the last few years, so it's a familiar system that that I'm walking into with him. Completely understand everything that he's trying to do, and so it'll be a fun, high tempo, high energy, high work rate kind of a style, and so it should be fun to watch. It should be fun to play, and it should be fun to coach.
In your several years of coaching experience, will this year be a little bit different because it is essentially at home? I mean, will it feel a little bit different because you are essentially at home coaching?
Yeah, I moved away right after high school, and so it'll be kind of an interesting thing. The family aspect is fun. My mom and my sister being close by, and they're obviously ready to come see matches and see what it is that I actually do for a living. They kind of got taken aback when you leave police work to go do something like coaching, so they'll actually get a firsthand look at what it is I do now, and so that's an amazing thing. That's really fun.
Awesome. And what's I always say this about in any sport with a coach that's coaching a male coach that played the male version of the sport, now coaching women's soccer. I mean, is there a big difference in how you've approached the game when you played and how you coach on the women's side?
Absolutely. I mean, I ingrained myself in women's soccer now. A lot of coaches could give you all of the players for the World Cup that just passed, and I watch men's soccer mostly as a fan.
Yeah.
I watch women's soccer mostly for professional purposes. The women's U20 World Cup actually starts today.
Okay.
So go USA again. The Women's World Cup for the full national teams will start next year in Canada.
Right.
That's the sort of thing that I love to watch. I'm a huge women's soccer fan. I think the game is definitely different. Obviously, the physicality of the game is different.
Yeah.
What the women can execute as far as, whether it's the difference between a 50-yard ball and a 75-yard ball. Those things you have to take into consideration when you're coaching women. And so, I try to make sure that we're coaching women and not trying to put men's abilities onto the women's game.
Well, I saw the other night the NWSL had 19,000 in a game in Portland.
19,123.
Biggest crowd ever.
Biggest crowd for the NWSL.
Yeah.
The first iteration of women's professional sports or soccer had 34,000 at the opening game. So, but that's a regular season game for a regular. It's amazing.
It's probably because the Portland Timbers men's squad's so bad, so they got to have something to cheer for up there, right?
The Thorns won the championship last year. That's actually I just moved from Portland and working with the academy teams for the Thorns. Amazing coaches, amazing systems. It's Soccer City, USA. So
awesome.
You can't complain about that at all.
Yeah, well, Clifton, thanks so much for joining us. Welcome back to Kern County. Welcome to the Roadrunners, and hey, get to work. Tomorrow's practice. So
Will do. Appreciate it, Corey.
All right, we'll catch up with you again. Clifton Bush here on Roadrunner Rundown. When we come back, Nikki Blue is going to join us. She is another new assistant coach. She's been all over the world playing basketball, WNBA as well. Now an assistant on the Roadrunners bench. We'll chat with her next. This is Roadrunner Rundown.
Buying a home is one of the most important decisions you can make. Scott Tobias Real Estate is here for you. Allow our seasoned and professional associates guide you through every step of the way. Scott Tobias Real Estate is a full-service real estate company providing expert assistance in residential and commercial real estate. The real estate business has changed in many ways over the years, but the desire for excellent customer service is still very much in demand. Our objective is not to be the biggest, but to offer the best real estate services. We're open 7 days a week.
Introducing TBC Mobile from the Bakersfield, California. The most complete news, sports, weather, video, opinion, and lifestyle coverage in Bakersfield and Kern County. It's the easiest way to stay up to date on all things local while on the go. Read it on your smartphone or tablet. Download now by searching Bakersfield Californian in the Apple, Google, and Amazon app stores.
Save 50 to 90% with the Bakersfield Californians daily deal featured on Bakersfield.com. A daily deal is offered each weekday on services from local restaurants, dry cleaners, health and beauty services, retail shops, and local activities for the entire family. The daily deal is 100% local. Find these amazing deals only at dailydeal.bakersfield.com.
The Roadrunner Scholarship Fund creates educational opportunities for over 300 student athletes at CSUB. By becoming a member and donating to the Roadrunner Scholarship Fund, you're not only helping the Roadrunners fund the scholarship needs of our teams, you're investing in the future. The Roadrunner Scholarship Fund isn't just developing student athletes. We're developing tomorrow's leaders from lessons learned during competition. For more information, log on to gorunners.com/donate and become a member of the Roadrunner Scholarship Fund.
Welcome back into Roadrunner Rundown. My thanks to Clifton Bush for joining us on the last segment of the program. He is a new assistant women's soccer coach and a local product returning back to Bakersfield. And speaking of which, there's a lot of that going on. And my next guest is no stranger to that concept. She is a former WNBA player, a former West High School player, a former player at UCLA where she was an All-American, and she played with the Washington Mystics, the New York Liberty of the WNBA, overseas as well, all coming back to Bakersfield as an assistant for the Roadrunners. Nikki Blue. Nikki, welcome home and welcome to CSUB.
Oh, thank you. Very good to be here.
Well, let's talk about you obviously have been all over the place in your basketball career. What was it that said, I want to come back to Bakersfield?
Bakersfield is home. I was born and raised here. I played played high school basketball, had a great experience at West High. My entire family is here. And when the opportunity came, I said, I have to get back home. I'm super excited to be here.
Awesome. And in the last, 6 years at UNLV as an assistant or so?
Yeah, 6 years at UNLV.
What was that experience like, to get Division I coaching experience?
It was amazing. My former coach that coached me at UCLA moved to UNLV, asked me to come along, and of course I agreed. UNLV was a wonderful place. I gained a lot of experience coaching, stuff on the court, stuff off the court, in the office, like clerical work, all that type of stuff. Just gained a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge about the women's basketball side of things.
Awesome. And you also played at the highest levels, both collegiately and professionally. How has that helped you coach the players as someone that team members can look up to because you were at that level?
Yes, I've been everywhere. I've seen everything. I've played at the lowest level. I've played at the highest level. I've played against the best players in the world. And when I go into a recruit's house and tell them about my experiences, their eyes get big and they, want to know. And it's like I'm giving back to them. I'm helping them out. I am teaching them what I've been taught. So that's a good feeling.
Well, and it's not like, a lot of people go, and you did it as well, go overseas to play professional basketball. But like as we're showing on the screen right now, this is your WNBA basketball card. You played in the WNBA. This is the most elite league. It's got to feel even better because it's not like you were just an overseas player. You played in the WNBA. That's huge.
Oh, yeah. The first year that the WNBA started, I believe it was maybe 97.
Yeah.
I sat in front of my TV and I took stats. I was a huge fan. Lisa Leslie was my favorite player. I wanted to be a WNBA player so bad. I ate and I slept and I did everything basketball just to get to the WNBA. And then I got drafted and I'm there. It was awesome. And then my first game at the Staples Center, I played against Lisa Leslie, my idol. It was amazing. And Lisa Leslie gets the rebound. She turns, pivots, almost catches me with a bow. And I'm like, oh, she's not my favorite player anymore. This is war. So
Right.
it was just good, amazing, just living out my dream, being a WNBA player, being on the court. I've been truly blessed.
Yeah, and it seems like the league, I remember when it first came in 97, it seems like it's had its ups and downs, but it seems to be continue to be a growing league with the model they have with partnering with the NBA.
Yeah, absolutely. The NBA has done a great job of bringing the WNBA along. And the women's game game side of things is changing. There's girls out there that are dunking
Yeah.
now. Brittany Griner.
Yeah.
It's exciting, and I think right now it's exciting for women's basketball on the collegiate level and on the WNBA level, and I'm so excited to be a part of it.
Awesome. You brought up earlier that Bakersfield obviously was home, and it seems like, because I been working in the media in this town and kind of following your career, but it seems like you've had tremendous support from Bakersfield folks throughout your career. Have you felt that, and are you hoping to maybe get that support to continue now as an assistant coach with the Roadrunners?
Yes, Bakersfield has always, been right on my back. I wear Bakersfield on my back proudly. My family, my entire family is here. Every single person in my family came to every single one of my UCLA games.
Yeah.
Everyone knew that's the Bakersfield crew over there. That's the 4th and P crew. That's what they call us.
Nice.
My mom's job, Greenfield Union School District, they always have supported. Everyone around town has just been so supportive. Every time I've come home, people are always like, I watch you play. We're supporting you. Bakersfield, the community support that I've had in my basketball career has been amazing. And for me to come back to try to give back to this community, I mean, it's a no-brainer. I have to.
Yeah. So the message to fans now is take that support you've given to Nikki all these years and come to watch her coach the Roadrunners.
Absolutely. I'm going to say the first couple games, we're going to increase our attendance just from my family and friends at least by 200. Let's go.
There we go. I like it. That's a good number. We'll follow that for sure.
Yeah.
Nikki Blue here on Roadrunner Rundown. You are going to be the only, female coach on this women's basketball team. Are you ready for that challenge dealing with Greg, Zach Grasmick, Xavier Johnson? I mean, you're good with that?
I'm good with that. Yeah, they've been complete gentlemen. There's been a couple of things, things I'm like, okay, these are guys. Let me, realize that. Just the way they kind of joke around and play sometimes. But everything has been great. They've always been appropriate. They've been complete gentlemen to me. And these guys, they know basketball.
Yeah.
They know basketball. I've known Coach Greg for years, and I've watched him play when I was younger, and him coaching. I've seen him on the road and watching him coach and turn this program around. He's done an amazing job. So I'm just happy to be here.
Did you cross paths with his daughter in the league as well?
Yes, I have. Dewana, I played against her at Phoenix. She played for Phoenix. And back in the day, he brought her out, and she played summer league with me when she was only going to be a 9th grader.
Oh, wow.
I was an 11th grader, and she played on West High Summer League team, and we killed everyone. Nobody could touch us. So I wish she would have stayed and did high school here, but she went back to Alabama.
Nice. So I pride myself in sometimes being able to do a lot of good research, and thanks to the powers of YouTube and the internet, I found out a little known Nikki Blue fact. Right?
Okay.
Your real name isn't Nikki, is it?
No, my real name is not Nikki.
Tell the folks what it really is.
My real name is Anitra Blue. Funny story. Can I go ahead and share it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, when I was born, my mom said she wanted to name me Anitra. My grandmother, who has since gone home with the Lord, did not want to call me Anitra. She said her name is going to be Nikki. My mom said, no, her name is Anitra. They went back and forth. Grandma won. 2014, okay. Everyone calls me Nikki.
There you go.
I mean, on my birth certificate, Anitra. Only time I'm called Anitra is when I'm in trouble or when I'm in trouble, basically.
There you go. All right, cool. So I'll let people know that. I'll let Greg know. If he gets mad, he can call you and yell at you, call you Anitra.
Oh,
no?
my goodness. Oh, gosh.
By the way, we were talking about your NBA career, your WNBA career. What was like one of your best highlights as a player during that time?
In the WNBA, I think my biggest highlight was just going back to the Staples Center and playing there. Every time we would come to the West Coast, we would play at the Staples Center. Yeah. Watching the greats play there. Kobe Bryant, of course, in the NBA, and growing up watching Lisa Leslie play there, who I was my number one. I was her number one fan. Yeah. And being able to play on that court in the Staples Center with my family in the stands. So awesome. I bet that was a highlight.
I know you were a very defensive-minded player, and this team happens to be very defensive-minded, so you're going to fit in well there. What kind of coach are you? I mean, are you the energetic, yelling, that kind of as a defensive player is?
I'm the encouraging coach. I'm not going to yell or put anyone down, but I will yell and encourage
That's
you.
what I'm saying. I mean, yelling as in like,
oh, absolutely.
Like you're like
I'm fired up. Yeah, I'm fired up. I'm like, let's get down. Let's get this stop. We got 2 minutes left to go in the game. Let's go. That's me. I'm that coach on the floor.
Awesome. Yeah. No, I look forward to it. And welcome back again. And this year, I'll kind of same question I asked Clifton earlier, but you've coached for several years, but how different will this year be because this year's going to be at home?
I'm just so glad to be back home. It's going to be great seeing my family and my friends in the stands, seeing familiar faces from Bakersfield out in the stands. And there's a buzz around town about women's basketball at Cal State Bakersfield. And I felt that I have to be a part of this. I mean, this team is on the up and up, and it's going to be great getting out there, winning some games, and hopefully going to the NC2A tournament. I mean, that's what this year is going to be about.
Absolutely. Pretty close last year and a good chance this year as well, for sure. So, Nikki, welcome to the program, and welcome back home. And we will be following your team as we get closer to the season.
Thanks a lot. Go Runners.
All right, Nikki Blue here on Roadrunner Rundown, and that would do it for us, folks. We'll be back next week on the program as we continue. Actually, next week will be season number 2 officially starts of the show, episode number 53. So thanks once again for making this program so successful. In year number 1, you can get it anytime online at GoRunners.com. Matter of fact, you can go all the way back to show number 1 and laugh about how far we've come, and you can check that out right now online at GoRunners.com. Get any edition of this program. Also, follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/CESUB Roadrunners, on Instagram and Twitter as well at CESUB Athletics. Next week on the program, we'll continue with our special Dog Days of Summer feature. We'll have one of those as well. And coming up in 2 weeks on the show, we will have our new men's and women's soccer preview edition of the show on August 19th, special preview edition of the fall sports with men's and women's soccer as well. That's coming up on August the 19th as well. So catch headlines and highlights of Roadrunner Athletics online anytime as well at GoRunners.com. My thanks to Lindsey Anderson joining us, new women's track and field assistant coach, Clifton Bush for joining us, new women's soccer assistant coach, and of course, Nikki Blue, our new women's basketball assistant coach as well, for joining us on the program. Thank you so much, folks, as well, for one good year. We'll do it again next week. This has been Roadrunner Rundown.